Hello, Teresa Phelps Martin here with the energetic signature for October 22nd till October 28th. This week is when I was looking at the energy of the week and receiving just what comes through, like parking all that I've studied and all that I've explored and just sitting with the energy that is being transmitted. I got that little sound of a pinball game, the ding, 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 and the ball bouncing all around, and sometimes it dropping down, and sometimes it getting flinged up, sometimes it making all the bells and whistles go off, and then sometimes it flopping down, and then you hit another ball, right? So do with that what you want, right? As always, this is an intuitive offering, and really an offering to remind you that you're not in this journey alone, or offering to remind you that you are connected to a system that wants to see you come alive, that wants to give you this opportunity of this existence, this embodiment, and discover and develop and evolve and grow. So that being said, I'm going to dive in. And then if I can do this economically, like time, if I can manage time well, it's one of my intentions right now, then I will save something special for the end, which will be worth it. Okay. So anyhow, as I'm recording this, the moon is in Virgo, and the moon will stay in Virgo. And then on the 22nd, it'll be void. Later in the, it'll actually go void. Of course, I don't have it written down when it goes void. Yes, I do. It goes void at 2:17 p.m. Well, it's so funny how I doubt myself sometimes. It'll go void at 2:17 p.m. on Saturday, the 22nd. The significance of this is that this is the same day as the Venus star point in Libra, where the Venus will move behind the sun from our perspective here on Earth. And it's like they have a secret meeting, if you will, where we will receive that transmission over the course of the next 9 months. And that transmission is really about seeing the wholeness of your being, integrating all those parts of you, finding that you hold so much trauma, pain, complexity, or maybe you don't hold trauma, and bless you if that's your journey. We have wounds, in yoga, we talk about them as some scars. They are imprints. I don't believe we are sinners. That just totally took us on a tangent, but it's that same concept that rather than going into the dogma of any of it, just know you've been hurt. I mean, think about it. How many times have you had a paper cut, right? And then you go use hand sanitizer and it stings but then also we know in that sting, it's probably cleansing that, right? The alcohol is cleansing. The alcohol is dissolving. This is a healthy use of alcohol, is dissolving the bacteria that could potentially be there and helping to facilitate the growth. Okay? Paper cuts. Life is full of them. And so what we want to do is not cast that energy or put upon these wounds of our beingness as bad, as problematic, as issues, as damaged goods. Because on some level, that's where the concept of sinning is good, because we're all damaged goods, because we're living here on planet Earth in a human embodiment with billions of other beings. But at the same time, one thing that we all have in common is the inhale and the exhale. And this Venus energy meeting up with the sun energy, it's the archetypal energy of the exhale with the opportunity to be alive. So what happens at the bottom of the exhale? Just try it out. The inhale shows up, right? The inhale comes through. And so what I would do when the moon moves into void, of really pausing, giving yourself those moments to pause, to notice your breath, to notice both sides of it, and how both sides of the breath come together to create the one breath. So rather than being divisive of, a saying I have is, when in doubt, breathe it out. And you also can even come to an even fluctuation of the breath. But if we become obsessive of how we're doing things, then we're missing the point of being. And anytime there's a void moon, that is the time to be more present, to be in this place. Now, the biggest thing about a void moon is it's not when we initiate things, but here's the caveat here. Here's the interesting thing. The sun and Venus are initiating something. So give yourself that time to contemplate what you would like with a new moon. I think last week I started off saying the sun and moon come together in Libra. I was completely off. The moon and Venus are the only sort of feminine examples of the planetary archetypes. And so what you want to do is feel that love, that wholeness, that unconditional radiance, the sun, and how there can be equanimity of these parts that we tend to label and criticize and judge, and rather come into this diplomacy and remember how we need all things, all right? And then later that day, we have Mercury trining Saturn in retrograde. So there's a lot of air energy, because in this void moon, the moon isn't tethered to any conversation with any of the other planets. It travels through the last few degrees of Virgo. So it's going to hit a lot of those energies. I believe the last aspect the moon will make will be its trine with Pluto before it goes void. So in these very last sort of apex energies of Virgo, it transits, and then by 5 o'clock, wrong day. 9:24 p.m., the moon will enter Libra. More air energy. So we have Venus and the sun in this cardinal initiatory, new ideas, new connections, new relationships. What's that relationship within yourself? Then we have Mercury, the way we observe, the quickness. I don't know about you all, but I've been having so many shifts in my life, so many changes, that I have to not get carried away with that energy, but come back to what's nourishing me, which is why time management is really, really, really a strong self-care tool for me, even if it's a new one, so that I can not get overwhelmed by all that is transitioning. So that air energy is reminding us that we're in that kind of swirl energy of shift and transformation and change and connection. Everybody's going through something. And so realizing that, rather than being divisive of what's good and what's bad, or pointing the finger or calling out what you don't like, call in the integrity of how you want to be. All right. That would be for me this idea of the 22nd. And I told you it's bing, 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 right? So listen for those little connection points that are coming together, and rather than running with it, which is what the air energy wants to do, sit with it. This is Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, which is what Mercury in Libra is trining. So at this 18-degree point, which is also squaring Uranus. I don't have it on here, but it has to square Uranus at the same time. And in that relationship, what are you rebuilding? What are you bringing in to? What breakthroughs are coming forward so you can give shape and form for your future, for other people's future, for the hopes and dreams, for that, oh man, I put so much energy in here. I feel so good about it. It's happening. Yes, yes, yes. It got rescheduled. In that rescheduling, that's how we learn how to adapt. without being so caught up in the emotional tides. Okay, but then on the 23rd, boom, moon will be in the balsamic phase. So the ending of this last lunation, this closure, this time to be quiet, tune in. Wow. So I actually had this intuitive hit, and then I sought out a book, and the book confirmed it. That is my pattern, as I usually go from the intuitive higher vantage point, and then the evidence finds me versus finding the evidence, the concrete tool, and then going for it. But I've learned that to trust that intuitive hit, I need to also see evidence of the concrete tool. So it's that organic energy, masculine energy, for any of you who are familiar with that Anusara languaging. But that masculine, that manifesting, that solidity, as well as the fluidity, the masculine and the feminine, right? So here we go. Because on Sunday, right, that balsamic energy is really, we feel a calling, like that seed form, right? That the oak tree sits in the acorn, right? But that acorn won't sprout into a tree unless probably a squirrel buries it, and then the soil receives it, and then it sits dormant, and then you nourish it, and then the sun warms it, and then it has to break through its hard shell. That is Uranus and Taurus right there. It is that seed form breaking through. This is the intensity that starts to show up. This is that structure of being broken down so new ways can evolve and come through and be transmitted. So on the 23rd, we have this sort of agitating energy with Venus and the sun, because they walk into the sign of Scorpio together. So Scorpio energy is that archetype of transformation, of death and rebirth. It is that cyclical nature. I heard somebody talk about it. It's kind of like when I really appreciated this visual. So it was Molly McCord. She was talking about, she has an obsession with power washers. And if you've ever used a power washer, it's pretty addictive, because you blast with forceful water. And if you hit, I actually have a scar that's fading on my hand from not thinking it all the way through. If you get hit with that pressure water, it can peel the skin off of your being. So you need to be respectful, and also realize that force, that fixed water, just pounding, can transform the surface. Right? And it actually lets what is buried underneath come forward and shine. Such a beautiful image of it, right? So it's also that energy of a waterfall, right? Pounding on a rock over and over and over and over and over again, and changing the shape of the rock. I just appreciate the pressure washer, because it really does clean off the grime to reveal the brilliance. And that's what Sagittarius season is that we all of a sudden are like, oh my God, I've just gone through the deep waters, the deep hallways of my soul, and there were treasures. I can trust in these treasures. I can bring them out and play and be light again and enjoy this experience. However, we can't skip the hard work. And so Scorpio usually gets a bad rap because it's secretive, and it is. But sometimes you need to be inward when you're going through a deep transmission of transformation and change. But when we go through that, the thing about Scorpio is it's ruled by Mars and Pluto. So that right there should tell you that Venus isn't really happy when she goes into Scorpio. However, Venus just had a meeting with the sun, and this is the idea as we're valuing these wounds. Our earth, humanity, is in a crisis on so many levels. But the crisis comes down. Crisis and chaos is all Scorpio energy. The crisis and the chaos comes down from forgetting the treasures of our truth. So we want to know that those triggers, that pain, those wounds are the trailheads. They can guide us through to bring forward the gifts of who we are, to really be in this place of bringing that energy forward. I am not doing it good with economy of time management because I haven't even really gotten through Sunday yet. So when the Sun and Venus move into Scorpio, they move together within a couple minutes of each other. It's that reminder that you're not alone. That unconditional love, that treasure, that light, that benevolence is with you as you do the hard work. And this is just so, can you tell? I have 5,000 things I want to say about this, but this is the idea. This is the journey. This is the idea of being soulfully you, of leaning into the support, exhaling out completely, so that inhale can fill you back up and remind you of your potentiality. So Venus not being super stoked from going from her place where she shines and she's full and holds this beauty and peace and rhythm and rapport and does justice to the light. She walks with the sun. She walks with this luminosity, this brilliance into the dark, into the underworld. Right? Pluto is the underworld with passion, with drive. And so if you can integrate those parts of you, your wants and your desires, the way you want to clean up or polish the treasures of your beingness, right? We have to have drive. We need ambition. We don't want to go into the dark underworld without the direction of coming back out, right? We want to remind ourselves in the enthusiasm and the excitement that is waiting for us in our future. All right. So and then Jupiter is going to challenge this a little bit in a subtle way of remember this very fiery, expansive nature is with you, but it could sting, right? It does. If you've done a yoga class with me, especially those of you who got to do the Sweet and Slow class in Charleston, South Carolina, at that amazing space that I adore still so much to this day. We called it Sweet and Low with a little sting. Some of you, others of you have experienced, now I'm teaching at Yoga 6, I teach a slow flow and it stings. There's an aliveness that's there. And so that's that Mars energy. That's that potency. That is that passion that you're not going to just get devoured by the darkness, but you have a destination. And that's Sagittarian energy, okay? And Jupiter, who rules Sagittarius, is in Aries. I know that's really hard to follow, in retrograde. And on the 28th, let me jump to the future real quick. The 28th of October, early in the morning, Jupiter moves back into Pisces. So we have this kind of these deep waters, the undercurrents that the light can still reach. The sun walks with Venus for some time. And that brings me to I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Oh, real quick. Saturn is going direct on the 23rd. So you're going to feel it now and for 5 days later. It is pointing its finger when planets are opposite the sun and then start to leave that opposition, right? Saturn's in Aquarius. That's at 11 o'clock. And the sun and Venus are moving from that 2 o'clock into 2 o'clock, right? From 3 o'clock into 2 o'clock, if that makes sense, if you picture a clock and time. So what we have is Jupiter appears to be going from 9 o'clock towards that 10 o'clock hour, right? And then Aquarius's move is in that 11 o'clock hour, and the Venus and Sun are moving into that 2 o'clock hour. So Saturn is no longer in opposition with the Sun. It's moving into that trine energy, remember? So Saturn is saying, how are you staying connected to the future? How are you giving form and shape to your dreams? How are you breathing life into it? I'm just so passionate today. Okay. We need to always come back into the moment. So that takes us to the 24th. The moon will be in Libra. The 24th is like the quiet before the storm. And then the 25th, we have the partial eclipse in Scorpio. All right. And on that day, the sun and Venus are together. So this is sweet because that means the moon catches up. The moon sits with the sun and Venus. And the moon is in on this initiatory energy. And the moon will be carrying this message through this whole lunation. However, the moon will pass the south node first. So the only way we can move forward is if we do the healing and we let go and we release. So this is a new moon that's not really, in my opinion, other people may be saying something else. It's that sweet, warm embrace of you can do the hard stuff. It's time to let go. We're all letting go together. And the thing about an eclipse, which Jennifer Rassiopi shared, is that idea of you're sitting in your room, in your house, your sacred space, and somehow the lights go out. It goes dark. It's not just like losing power, but it goes dark. And the furniture gets rearranged without you even knowing it. And then the power comes back on. And you have to find your way in this place that was yours, that you knew. Eclipses happen when the sun and the moon are within 12 degrees of the nodes. The nodes create the eclipses. So you want to look at where 2 degrees Scorpio is in your chart and where 2 degrees Taurus is in your chart. And pay attention as the sun and the moon move, because we have a total eclipse on November 5th. Isn't it November 5th? November 8th. And it's intense. And those challenges will mandate change. And that change is inevitable. And the only way things can change is through challenge. However, we are changeable. We are energy. We are transformable. So this eclipse in Scorpio is asking you to let go. Let go. Let go. You know, there's that Joseph Campbell quote, I have to let go of the life I have planned to receive the life that is awaiting me. I paraphrase that big time. So how can you be in this new moon energy on the 25th of accepting the grand transformation of cutting cords with what you know? We all know. We just like to live in denial. And this is rattling us where we can't deny it any longer. It's going to come and knock us down. So how can you use this new moon, this lunation, right? And these will be, there are the eclipse. Fortunately, there's only a number of eclipses in that axle of the Taurus Scorpio line. Then, in 2023, it'll move into the Aries Libra axis, the individual self, the relationship self. So there's so much significance happening right now. Part of that is the Venus star point between the sun and Venus was at 2 degrees Scorpio last year. Now it's happening at 29 degrees Libra. Big deal. Hasn't happened in a really long time. I want to say 100 years. And then guess what? Because of the way the planets dance, it's not in a straight line. It flows. It's cyclical. Then this Venus star point is going to come back to this degree mark next year, I believe. Yeah. You can also look at what was going on in October of 2018. So there's a lot of patternings that you want to tune into, the subtle waters, the deep energy of your journey, your soul's evolution. And Taurus energy is about value and resources, our ability to be in this skin and bones, that crystallized energy of spirit, right? So there's the crystal, the Virgo sees the crystal and has service, and the Capricorn holds the crystal up and tells others, carries the wisdom of the crystal forward, okay? So with that being said, this Scorpio, that's Taurus. It's your own talents. This is a key word, talents. Talents, like this ability to work with the elements and sensualize it, to build something with it, to see the evidence, right? Then that Gemini energy would be like, well, I got the data. Here's the data. Here's the data. I'm communicating the data. Here's what is there. Here's what's there. And then that Cancer energy says, okay, let's hold it. Let's love it. Let's realize there's something here. Let's be compassionate with what's been discovered. And then that Leo energy says, but we're here to shine. We are loved. We've been cared for, right? We were just held. We felt safe and secure. So let's step forward again. Let's let our light shine. And then that Virgo energy says, well, when my light shines, how can I be of service? How can I contribute back to this embodiment in a way that is an awareness of all the data that's been gathered, that I can do it in a way that supports and makes the world better. And it has to start with me. Virgo energy is really about taking care of yourself and dealing with the daily details of you. And then we move into Libra and we say, wow, I can trust in myself. I realize there's all of these moving parts and I can bring them together in such wholeness and share them with others. And so that's the energy of Scorpio, is that vulnerability, the intimacy, like into me I see and I share it with you. To me, Scorpio energy is vulnerability, and we're vulnerable and we haven't been taught. This is like emotional intelligence is still a rather new concept. It has not permeated humanity yet, but it's out there. It's the one thing that COVID has done. How do you build emotional intelligence? You have a therapist, right? And I would recommend a therapist right now over a coach. Coaches are amazing. Find a coach that has their PhD. I'm not knocking even myself right now, but there's just getting into the evidence base of what works. What works? What's that concrete tool that can help you? Because when we're in that scorpionic energy, we're so vulnerable. And that vulnerability has probably been traumatized at some time. And Scorpio energy is that psyche. It's psychology. I guarantee you a really good therapist has strong Scorpio energy and they've done the work. So you can grow through what is coming up, right? Name it to tame it. Grow to evolve. All those things. That is Scorpio energy. That's what happens. We go down and in with another energy. We share the resources. We lean into the support. This is the higher vantage point because Scorpio energy doesn't just sting, right? It rises up from the ashes. And then once it rises up from the ashes, the phoenix rising, if you can let go, right? Sometimes we go into the deep hallways of our soul and we pick up or we stay there and we deny our truth. We deny our light being able to come up and out. So as it comes up and out, bring your gifts with you. You have to cut away the attachment to the parts of you that continue to harm you, that continue to devalue you, that continue to keep you tangled up in an unhealthy narrative of who you truly are. And then when we can rise up and out, We rise into a place and a space that we tiptoe with greater trust. We're resilient. So I have totally gone over. We have Jupiter, Mercury will move into Scorpio as well. So we're going to have to find the vernacular for these emotional places, which is why sometimes images work, sound effects work, music works. Create a playlist that can help you connect to that sort of serene, peaceful, melancholy, but also inspires you, right? That doesn't put you in the dark hallways where you hang out with misery, but rather breathe in and remember you're not alone. Remember the sun is walking with you. The light is forever with you. And if you can bring that treasure forward, you will be a gift to others. It's this miraculous energy of our ability. Okay, so I'm going to go over, but I want to do this quickly. Okay, the Scorpio new moon. I'm going to start with Scorpio rising. Here you go. Here is your soul scope. Scorpio rising. You have the sun, moon, Venus in the south node. So you know you're releasing. It's been a lot of let go. And in that letting go, what you're realizing is like, yeah, I'm not all these dark ways that people have pointed at me. My power is what? You have a transformational energy. People see you as the change maker. That is how you show up. So you want to be aware of that and trust in others. Trust in the people. So maybe do healing around that place of intimacy where you've been betrayed. Okay. If you are Libra rising, well, the Scorpio and Taurus energies are hitting your second house and your eighth house. That is the idea of seeing the crystal, seeing your talent, seeing your worth. You've got to let go, though, of all that denies you, right? Of that energy of like maybe you just learned how to hide as a child so that you could keep the peace, but in keeping that peace, you hid from yourself. So don't hide from your light anymore. Instead, find safe boundaries, healthy, supportive relationships that you can step into. That's the idea of this one. Virgo rising. This is hitting your third and ninth house. So what is the inner narrative? What narrative are you living by that is hindering your ability to bring your gifts, your sensuality, your delight of life out into the world so that you can be this wellspring of the heart, that you can share your wisdom. Leo rising, your pattern of keeping everything hidden has to stop. Keeping those emotions, those deep emotions so private, it's time to do the healing. And that will build your future. That will be the legacy. And the eclipses, everybody, just so you know, they will mandate this change whether you're ready for it or not. Cancer rising. This is where you have to let go of this idea that your heart is wounded, that that you are a burden, that you are to blame, where really in that ability to be so sensitive and so empathetic that you need the boundaries so that you can give energy into your future. This is the way to nourish your future, because that Taurus, lunar eclipse will hit your 11th house, and it's really the structures that you're building. So release that blame, that lack of sense of self-love. Love yourself. Find ways to connect to that. And if you're with me so far and each of these is resonating, of course they are, because we all have all of it. Gemini rising, you want to really appreciate your ability to be aloof sometimes or distracted, but don't undermine the wounds and the pains of other by bringing in humor of really diverging and distracting and devaluing the pain people have. And you want to look at your own self and be very, very compassionate with that discomfort and give energy. Let your soul know that it can be scared too, right? It's a big deal that as your soul just got heavier and heavier and heavier and denser and denser and denser and came into this earth form, that there are parts that we're here to grow. So do the work, make the commitment to really feeling that inner healing for yourself. Taurus rising, well, you've just been in it, and you know you've been in it, and it's hit, and you've had to watch the pain of other people in your life. And in that watching that, really give the boundaries to believe in your ability, that your presence of being present presents a sense of leadership that others can also see and rise into. Aries rising, well, life has been good because you've been through the ringer, but in that ringer energy, there's still wounds that are calling forward, and those wounds are in your trust with others, in that intimate space. You're in that Scorpio is in your 8th and Taurus is your 2nd. So you really want to value yourself. And you can value yourself so you can feel this whole sense of being, like you have the crystallization of your own heart, and that you can find healthy boundaries and ways to engage with yourself so that you can heal the past wounds of that intimacy and being vulnerable and being in a committed relationship with another. And Pisces rising, well, Pisces, you're going to feel that expansion again when Jupiter steps in. And as Jupiter steps in, you also are going to feel this ability to let go of the life you thought you were going to be living, really, and feel that dream energy. Feel the give shape and form to your environment, right? And let go of always being caught up in the external value of how the outside world looks in at you, but rather value your inner connection, your articulation, so that you can bring that forward. Aquarius, you're going to feel this Aquarius rising, right? You're in a place of a lot of change and structure and drive and vision. And what you want to feel that connection to is feeling the legacy requires you to feel, to not just stay up and above and beyond, but to go in. That legacy that you want to leave requires you to come home and give energy and ground yourself, tether yourself to that sense of safety, and let go of that idea of not feeling, but feel safe in that feeling realm. Capricorn rising, oh, good news. That energy of transformation is slowing down, and you're going to feel this energy where to go. Taurus in your 5th and Scorpio in your 11th. Heal that vision of you've gone through so much change, right? You've gone through so much change that your future, you got to let go of what you thought the future would be. You let go of the hopes and dreams and come back to the crystal of your heart. Feel that change, that transformation, that there's a crystallization that's helping you break through and break free. And that'll allow you to get out of your comfort zone, right? Allow you really to push yourself into new ways of engaging. Sagittarius rising, you're feeling this energy big time. Your soul is Sorry, I just made a huge connection. And I have to pause for a minute and breathe and come back to my very long-winded energetic signature. Let go of the way you deny the discomfort. Let go of the way that you keep the vulnerable layers of your soul hidden. And come back to creating stronger, like the time management. But I'm not Sag rising, but it's a lot of this makes sense, and that's why I had to pause. See, even Lulu agrees. Come back to that place, and obviously I'm way beyond my typical time limit. Come back to engaging with your gifts on a daily basis. Make a commitment to every day give structure to the way you share in the resources of your soul. Remind your soul that it can come forward. It can rise up to the surface. There we go. Those are your soul scopes. This is the very long energetic signature for this week. But I hope you could hear the passion that I have. And part of that passion is I have a strong Scorpio signature in my chart, even though the only energy I have in Scorpio is Uranus. And this eclipse hits my Uranus. And which is kind of funny to say. And then my North Node. So those of you who are born around the 75, 76, not really 75, well, like summer of 75, late summer, August of 75 until 18 months after that. You are also going through a nodal reversal. And so with that, there's really these like hits of this is what you have to break free from in order to break through and bring those real true soul gifts. So that's the passion. That's why I am back in grad school and showing up and doing my work and continuing to bring these to you. And I hope this supports you and serves you. I hope that you can put into place those boundaries, because as you're getting bonked around, because for the next like month, it's going to be bonkers on some level, that you can take this ability to exhale all the way out. Keep your movement slow and subtle, that you take self-care to the next level, right? Like I shared, time management is me taking self-care to the next level. I have a lot of self-care in place. My life depends on it. So now it's time to establish the patterns for this new beginning. And hopefully this helps you be so fully who you are, that the wisdom tool of the cosmos helps you uncover the hidden treasures of you. So you can be real, you can be true, and you can be soulfully you. I thank you, and I will be back next week for the next energetic signature, and I will try to keep it shorter. They've been long this month, but so it is. And I thank you for your comments. I appreciate you. If you need to know more, please reach out to me at teresaphelpsmartin.com. And, I always offer clarity sessions for free. If we've never worked together and you want to book something just to see and learn a little bit more, and if we have a rapport together, I'm here. And I thank each of you deeply for being who you are, because if you're still with me, you are showing up, and what a gift you're bringing to the world around you, because you're choosing to be present with the truth of you.